There we go. First cast, we're all hooked up. All right, we got a nice little brown trout on our dropper here. And as some of you know, there we go, get a little shot of it. Some of you know I've been redoing some of my videos. One that I've been wanting to redo is my elk hair caddis. I tied it a long time ago when I first got into it. And, you know, it's probably not the best quality, and I've got a lot better in my tying since then. So I'm going to show you my elk hair caddis. But the reason I'm fishing the elk hair caddis today is because there's an October caddis hatching here. It's just now October, beginning of October, and nice caddis hatch coming off. But the other thing about a caddis is it makes a great dropper pattern, and that's what I'm doing here too. So I'm catching them on the dropper and on the dry fly. So watch me a little bit here. You'll see how I'm floating it. Just floating it like any other dry fly, except I'm running a little tiny white zebra midge, which the stream I'm fishing here has a lot of black fly larvae. And go to my zebra midge thing and just tie it in white, and you got it. So let's get back out here and see if I can't catch another fish. There we go, got another one on the dropper. Oops. All right, there we go, another nice little wild brown trout. You see there, guys, that this dry dropper technique is a very, very effective technique. If you want to get into nymph fishing and if you're a dry fly guy trying to learn nymph fishing, this is a great way. You just want a good floating fly like an elk hair caddis. So give that a try, and here you'll see me tying it, how I tie my elk hair caddis, and sit back and enjoy. Okay guys, we're back in the studio here now. This is actually the first video I'm shooting from my new studio, where I brought all my fly tying stuff and my podcast stuff. So now I got a dedicated space just for doing YouTube and podcasts. So that's pretty cool for me. Here you're going to see the fly in the vise. This is an elk hair caddis, but it's to represent an October caddis. So we're going to tie an elk hair October caddis. So let's get into tying it here. I'm using a Firehole 419 size 14 hook. You know, I like to use barbless hooks. I like to, it's just the way I fish. So if you don't like that, use a Daiichi, whatever you want to use there. I just happen to like fishing barbless. So the next thing we're going to put on is my thread, which is 140 Denier brown thread. Then I'm going to use a cape here. I'm going to take one up, clear up at the top here so it's really nice and thin. We carry cape tops at the shop. That's a great way to get these nice small fibers. And what I don't want is a very long hackle barb. So I'm just going to pick one of those feathers off from down towards the bottom. And we're going to tie it down by the tip. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the tips. Preen some of these fibers back and try to get it where I can tie down the shaft of that feather. So we're just going to tie this down on top then and cover it up. Okay, that's good for our hackle. Now I'm going to put a little bit of dubbing. For dubbing from my SLF Squirrel dub box, I'm using the color Burnt Orange. And it's a good color for the October caddis. It's a darker orange color. It doesn't take a lot of this. A little bit will go a long way here. And we're just going to cover up that body. Just tighten that down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Just enough to cover up the body. Then I'm going to take my hackle, put my hackle pliers on, and I'm going to wrap this forward. And what this is going to cause the fly to do is ride a little bit higher. I know a lot of times if you see me, I like to fish an Caddis, and they ride lower in the water. Well, I'm fishing this as a dropper, so I want it to ride a little bit higher, have a little bit better float qualities to it than the Caddis. So once we get that up, we're just going to tie it off. Trim off the extra there. And make sure I got it tied down good. Okay. Now, you see it's kind of like a Griffith gnat, I guess you would say now. Next thing I'm going to add is some C.D.C wood duck. And I like using C.D.C. It's got some natural floating qualities to it. And this just helps it to float a little bit. I'm going to take 2 feathers, I'm going to stack them on top of each other and have the veins run together. And I'm just going to pinch the tips down together. So I got a clump of tips you can see there. Now once I get that clump of tips, just going to lay it right on top, and I want it to go back to the bend of the hook. Once I get that where I want it, I'm just going to tie it down and trim off the extra. Okay. Now, time for the last part, the elk hair. So I'm going to use a piece of bull elk hair. And like I said, I'm fishing, as you saw in the video, I'm fishing a dry dropper. And I want it to float well for me. And that's why I went with the elk hair. So what you're going to do is you're going to pinch off a big clump of this. Then you're going to grab it by the tips. And you're going to pull out all those fibers, all the little under fur, and now you can see it's like little dubbing. So we're just going to get rid of all that and the uneven pieces. Once you get all that under fur out, I'm going to stick it in my hair stacker tool. We're just going to put them tips in, get them all in there, and then just tap it a couple times on my hand, on the table, whatever you like to do. And there you'll see when you pull out the hair stacker, they'll all come out to the same length by the tips. Okay, so we're just going to pinch them tips. And then I'm going to hold it on top. I want it the same length as my C.D.C. So I'm going to switch the fingers over here. And I'm going to make one loop around the elk hair. And then I'm just going to pull it down right where I want it to go on top. And this is the hard part right here. To get it without, you got to put some pressure on there because you really want to torque these into place, but you don't want to put so much pressure that you break your string just like that. So, let's see if I can get this going again real quick. So, all you got to do when you do that is just get the thread back going and start over again. It's not that tough. So, once we get it, just gonna throw a couple more wraps on there, and then I'm gonna trim this off. I'm gonna trim the head on this fly. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab these in a clump, and I'm gonna not cut them tight, just like a 32nd of an inch or 1/16 of an inch there, so it makes a nice little head on the fly. And lastly, we're gonna come in and whip finish, and this fly is done. So there you can see, this fly doesn't take long. Needs some floating, so make sure you put some floating on it when you're fishing it. And it's a great indicator on the dry dropper system, or you know, fish it as a caddis. Right now the elk hair caddis are coming off. That's a great color combination for your elk hair caddis. So give it a try, guys. Okay. There you saw how I tie the elk hair caddis. Now we're going to get on the water again here, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the technique I used to do it. I'm in a dry dropper, which means that about 20 inches above my nymph, 20 or so, whatever you feel the fish are suspended at, you want to put your dry fly. In this case, today it's an elk hair caddis. A lot of times I'll use a C.D.C, but today I'm going with an elk hair because it matches the October caddis that's coming off pretty good right now. So what I want you to do is I kind of want to see you watch my fly a little bit if you can see it, and watch my line. I'm going to be high sticking this. That's one of the things that's very important here. You want to be in contact with your dry fly so you can react quickly to it. So let's get out here and see if we can catch one. Hopefully we catch one on the dry fly. If not, we'll get one on the nymph, I'm sure. Oop, missed one there. You can see now I'm keeping my line tight right to my dry fly. Just watching for any change in that dry fly. Right there you go. There's a nice fish too. I don't know if you got to see that on the video or not, but that came to a nice pause there. Get this fish on the reel. And, you just want to keep in constant contact with that dry fly. That will allow you to get to the strike a lot quicker. Nice rainbow here. Really nice rainbow. And again, on the dropper, but we're using that dry fly as our indicator. Pretty fish there. That's been in the stream for a little while. It's a nice fish. Let's get him back in there and see if we can't get one more. One of the great things about fishing an elk hair, a caddis, is you can kind of make it dance across the water, and sometimes that'll trigger a bite. You don't have to be real particular with your drift on an elk hair a lot of times, because caddis will skate across the water. There we go. There's another one. I don't know if you saw it again or not, but that one actually pulled my indicator way underwater, so that's what we like to see. Another nice brown. This one again on that white zebra midge, which is working great this time of year. Oops. So. Oops. Get this guy unhooked and back in the water, and I hope you pick something up from this video. Like if you have any questions, feel free to email me at holsingersflyshop.com. At holsingersflyshop@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to answer your questions. But this is a killer technique throughout the summer and into the fall here right now. It's been real productive for us, so give it a try. Get yourself some floating. Make sure you have some floating to keep it up there, and you'll catch lots of fish. So thanks for watching, everybody. Until next week, I'm Sean Holsinger.